Since I was a kid, I've had this dream of running my own business. It all started when I went over to a classmate's house and noticed something that stuck with me. His dad could come home from work whenever he wanted. That moment left a mark on me. And even though my motivation shifted a bit over the years, the desire only grew stronger. By the time I hit 35, I had managed to build up a fairly successful construction company. After handling a few smaller projects, we landed a major government contract. At first, the deadlines seemed impossible, but the potential profit and the chance to raise our profile was too tempting. So we decided to go for it, even though we knew it would be a tough ride. We put everything else on hold, vacations, personal plans, you name it, and just got to work. I told my team, "All right, guys, let's push ourselves now so that later on, money will chase us, not the other way around." But of course, the biggest load fell on me. Not only because overtime pay wasn't an option, but also because at the time, we didn't have an electrician in the team. So during the 4 months we worked on the project, I never made it home before 9 p.m. and didn't take a single full day off. I could tell it was getting tough for Aria. "Don't stress, Aria," I reassured her. "I'll make time for you and for everything else." "When do you find time?" "At night?" She shot back. "Well, not just at night." I said, "We went ice skating last Saturday, and you had fun. I took you shopping. What more do you need? And next weekend, I'll take you wherever you need to go in the morning, and I'll make sure the job sites can wait until lunchtime. What if I need you for the whole day? Or better yet, 2 days in a row?" She replied, "Sweetheart," I said, "I've already explained. This work is an investment in our future. Look at your friends. In some families, husbands go abroad for months for jobs like this. Then the wives have every right to be upset when they end up doing all the housework. But you've got nothing to complain about. I'm right here, even if it's late, and I come home every single day." She looked down, clearly upset, but she accepted that the project was too important to ignore. I hugged her, we both calmed down, but the tension kept building. I saw how hard it was for Aria to hide her frustration when I'd ask her to pack me lunch or dinner to take to the site. Over time, her dissatisfaction started to show more. I understood where she was coming from, but as someone who trusted her, I started feeling a bit resentful. "Seems like you've got a friend near your work, right?" she asked one evening. It was hard for me to even think about being with anyone else, so I didn't get the point of the question at first. I answered without thinking, "Well, yeah. Asher and Riley live nearby." "Right, so Asher works at night, and you go over to Riley's place," she said, her tone sharp. That's when it hit me, like a slap in the face. I'm not proud to admit it, but I completely broke down. The exhaustion, the stress, the constant tension, it all came crashing in at once. I finally exploded to myself. "How dare you?" I'm running on fumes, barely staying awake. Yet I still put on a smile and drag myself to all these pointless events, even though my legs feel like they're going to give out any minute. And you can't even see that I'm not complaining or ignoring your needs. Have you ever stopped to think about how I feel? I slammed the living room door behind me, plopped down on the couch, and decided I'd stay there for the night. In fact, for the next week, I did just that, spent almost every night there. We communicated in monosyllables, and only when absolutely necessary. It went on like this for 10 days, and then I finally had enough. I realized I valued our family more than my bruised pride, so I went for a reconciliation. I left a letter on her pillow, a postcard asking her out to dinner, and a small box of new earrings I wanted her to wear that evening. My plan worked. We made up though. Sadly, it didn't last long. After a while, I noticed something strange. Aria started calling me at work much more often than usual. I always tried to answer, but there were times when I was busy with urgent matters and couldn't pick up the phone right away. But whenever I had a free minute, I called her back to catch up. One afternoon, Aria called again. She wanted to clarify a few things and asked when I'd be home. I told her I'd be at the office until about 8. Then, not long after, the phone rang again. I was still caught up with work, so I didn't pick up. I called her back after 30 or 40 minutes. She asked where I was, and then the conversation took a strange turn. I started hearing an echo from her end of the line. Suddenly, I realized I could hear loud music in the background. Teenagers, probably passing by with a portable speaker. The music was clear through the phone, and a second later, the same song came through the window where I was standing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Area, where are you? What's that noise?" I asked, trying to stay calm as I quickly ran downstairs and out of the building. "I went out to the store," she replied, but I could tell she knew I could hear the sounds of the street. I stepped outside and looked around. Sure enough, there she was, about 10 meters away from me. "How far is the store from home?" I asked, now more annoyed. She looked around, but we finally locked eyes. "What's it to you?" she shot back, her voice cold. Then she hung up and turned away, walking off. It was clear. Aria didn't trust me one bit. The moment I didn't answer, she immediately assumed I was with someone else. So she decided to check up on me. How she thought she was going to find me in that massive building, I have no idea. What she was trying to prove, I couldn't figure out either. That incident was a turning point. After that, our family life unraveled. We kept stopping, getting offended, sulking, and going days without speaking. The deadline for the project was looming, and the tension only built up. But thankfully, my persistence and the hard work of the team paid off. We made it. Day after day, after the facility was handed over, I felt a huge wave of relief. At this point, I knew I had to focus on fixing things with my wife. I tried as best as I could to put myself in her shoes, to understand her feelings, and maybe even forgive her, but it seemed like she wasn't really in the mood for any conversations or heart-to-hearts. That stung deeply, because I loved her so much, and I truly hoped that feeling was mutual. Just when I was about to head home, my crew from the job site approached me, and one of them said, "We've been working like animals, and you've been running around like 100 horses. We all deserve a break." "That's true," I agreed. "And the first thing I'm doing is going home to sleep. Please, don't bother me for the next 2 days. I need rest." "You can sleep, but we got a sauna booked. Not just any sauna, but the best one. So, we're all getting in our cars and heading there now," they insisted. "Guys, I'm not." I started, but they wouldn't listen. Soon enough, we pulled up to the sauna, and I'll admit, I started to appreciate their gesture. After days of working nonstop in the cold with my body aching, that heat was exactly what I needed. A few drinks to loosen up, and finally, I felt some tension leave my body. We were chatting about the future when one of my friends said, "The future's looking great, but let's talk about the immediate future. The girls are about to arrive." "What girls?" I asked, genuinely confused. "Come on, don't play dumb," he replied. "What kind of girls do you think come to a boys' sauna?" Suddenly, it dawned on me that I was the only one who wasn't in on the plan. "You guys are married." I blurted out. "What the hell are you thinking?" "Chill out, no one's gonna know," they said, laughing. "By the way, this is for you." "Yeah, to hell with all of you," I shouted. Just as I was about to storm out, I saw a silhouette in the doorway. The first girl had arrived. Without missing a beat, I said, "I'm out of here." I grabbed my things, started pulling on my sweater, and turned to the girl. "Sorry," I said, "but I've got to go home right now." To my shock, her voice was oddly familiar. "You have no idea how glad I am to see you here," she said, and when I looked up, I was stunned to see that it was Aria. I froze. Then I noticed something even more surprising. Standing next to the guys were their wives. Aria was grinning at me. And just like that, the evening turned around. It ended up being a pleasant night, one I didn't expect at all. Thanks to my crew, who had a funny but brilliant way of helping me reconcile with Area and get our family life back on track.